We have some very interesting dreams on today's show. We start off by completing the series of dreams from Shelley from last week. This dream shows what her place in the universe is, what she's meant to be doing, and who she's meant to be working with. Then somebody is told they have cancer, and that dream is never about cancer. Dreams don't hit the nail on the head like that. So I'm covering this dream just so that it eases the minds of people who have dreams and they think, oh my gosh, this was named, so I must have it. Our next one, the dreamer is trying to cross a busy highway at an ocean, and that's telling him where his position is in relationship to how he helps people on the planet. He wants to get closer to source, wants to understand things more from a source perspective, and they're saying that's not for you. And then after that, same dreamer has a dream where there is a fish swimming outside the tank and then it's grabbed by a woman and put back in. And that dream is saying that he's got a perspective that's different from everybody else. And he's at a point now where he needs to stop letting people constrain his thoughts, especially when it comes to spirituality. That's it. See you on the inside. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited that you are here.
All right. So we started a channeling class just yesterday. You still have time to get in on it if you jump this week. So if you're interested in that, go to dream-analysis.com/channel. Next one will be in quite some time. All right. We're going to start off with a dream that we promised last week. It was meant to be the culmination of a series. Shelley dies in the first dream. You might remember that. So the series of dreams we looked at last week gave us lots of information about Shelley, but this dream shows where she fits in terms of the whole spirit world. So, Sandy, let's jump in.
All righty. Let's see where she fits in. I'm excited. So the title of this stream is Welcoming the Visitors in White, and it's from Shelley. I'm in a university setting and getting close to Patrick, a friend from the university, attractive, but a bit loco. There's a meeting, and the students are gathering in the central hall. So I start heading back there. I feel I belong here. A tall senior woman passes me in the corridor and indicates that I should go back to Patrick. I look where he's sitting, and he turned into a large piece of white card with red writing on it. That's interesting. I enter another hall. This time has a religious feel, like a place of worship, and it's full of people. There is a raised platform at one end and a man speaking, welcoming the visitors, who are a group of people sitting around a long oval table in the center of the hall. They are dressed identically, all in white, with white hats too, and the light is coming from above them. I imagine from a sky lantern, so their white clothing is brightly lit. They are from all different religions, and they are being honored and celebrated and welcomed. The man is now speaking German. I approach the stage with a few others and see a woman beside him on the stage. She's at a slightly lower level to him and stands just behind a low barrier or rail that separates the stage from the floor where we are standing. She speaks French, and she's demonstrating something to us, manipulating it with her hands. It's something identical that she's teaching us. What an interesting dream, Michael. Where does she fit in?
Okay. So it is a complex dream. Her friend Patrick, it's always great when you have a friend in a dream. So you go, okay, what would this person mean? I asked, was he into esoteric things? And she said, yes. And I can easily have those conversations with him. But then he turns two-dimensional later, so it turns into that cardboard. So that's not a good sign. That basically says that he doesn't really fit in the 3D world. I think we probably all know somebody like this. They're so into spiritual things, they're not into anything else. And they don't really relate well to other people because they think everything should be just hugely spiritually focused, and you've got a problem if you're not looking at the world their way. And they mightn't even be as mean as that, but they might still be judging all the time that, I'm very spiritual, you're not very spiritual, and this is what I look at, and this is how I look at the world. And I do that because that's the way to be inclusive and so on. Am I explaining the right type of person? Anyway, that's the way he is. And she's being told, don't be like that. Yes, be super spiritual, but you also have to fit into the 3D world that we're in. You can't just have that one dimension about you. So anyway, interesting. When you see a friend, you can go, what are they about? What are the good traits about them? Or maybe what are the bad traits about them? Because this guy has good and bad. He's got the interests that are good. And she's even told, go back to him. So you are definitely meant to be going in that direction, but don't go so fringe as him. So what else have we got? The central hall. Yeah, that was an interesting one because the central hall is where everybody goes. And they said that's not for her. And this is kind of the part of it. Where do I fit in? And they don't like it because she's trying to fit in and they don't want her to fit in. So quite unique. We've seen it before. Her place is actually standing out and being different, but at the same time, fitting in with the rest of the world. This is who I am. I'm happy to display who I am and I'm happy to be the way I am. You're not going to change me. I'm still going to be me, but I'm absolutely fine in the physical world too. She has that sense of not belonging and she's trying to solve it in the dream. And that's why she's trying to go to the central hall. But they said, okay, if you're going to re-enter this dream, don't go to the central hall. It's not good. So then who are her tribe? And its seekers are her tribe, people who are still searching. And I think we said this last week. So even if they're a spiritual teacher, as long as they're still searching, I want to explore more. I want to understand more, but not just from an intellectual perspective. I want to embody. I want to see how far I can push myself or bring myself in this field. So anybody like that from a very beginner, because obviously they're seekers, and somebody who is very advanced, but still is a kid when it comes to their interest in this whole field. And there's a lot of people like that. A lot of people at the top of their game are very, very like that. There's others, of course, that look like they're at the top of a game and they kind of act like I know everything. They wouldn't be her tribe. So it has to be people who are having fun and interested and know that there's still more for them on their own journey. There's always more for us on our journey. I don't think we can ever, as a human, get to the end point where we say, okay, there's nothing else for me to do. We might get to a point where we've achieved all our karma, we've done everything that we've meant to do when we're here. But even when we hit those points, they still will give us more if we want. It's kind of an exponential improvement for us at that point because they don't give us tough stuff. They give us things that build on what we've already learned and the work we've already put in. Maybe we'll be working with other people, helping other people, but it's not, hey, give back to other people. It's you are now at a point where you're going to learn more about yourself if you help other people because you're going to start seeing patterns within you while you work with other people. So it's going to help both parties. What else have we got? She's big into languages and languages came up last week in her dreams too. She had a linguist even in her dreams. It opens her up to new culture. So languages mean new culture for her. So that's really good. She speaks French fluently. She has a little bit of German. She has other languages too, as well as English. So that's what it means here. The language is good. She's good with her hands. She's a healer, but different. And when I asked them to show me, they showed her doing mudras. It's like hand signs, like the mudra we see Jesus doing all the time is like 2 fingers held down and 2 fingers held up. And that means a particular thing. So she's does these mudras spontaneously when working with people. And she said, oh yeah, it does happen. So it's not exactly hands-on healing, but it is with her hands and it is this special thing. Maybe we should do a show one week on special gifts that are kind of like different from everything else because they show up in her dreams anyway, just like this did for her. So like I said, her place is not to fit in. They don't like the central hall. It represents trying to find where you fit in. And if you go through life looking for where you fit in, you won't find it. Your place is separate from the crowd. And that's not a worse place. It's your place. That's the way you have to think about it. Find your place in God, not in people. And like I said, she can't be so unique that she shuns everybody. That's what Patrick turning 2D represents. The red and white is good. It's a promise of real joy and hope. And that real joy and hope comes shortly after the dream. Like you have the dream and you either wake up with it or it's really fast after it. It's not like, oh, apparently I'm getting this in a week or so. No, it's much quicker than that. Then the people in white, light from above, they're all about God. In the new dream format, white is all about God. We've talked about that on the show. Dreams changed last September. Not everybody's in the new format, but if you are in the new format, this lady is. White means something different. And then all the different religions are honored at one table. So that's really good. And by the end of the dream, she's exactly where she belongs. Like I said, her tribe is seekers, not people who found themselves, but people who are still searching. And the best spiritual seekers, like I said, still are searching too. So they might be running a class, but they're still searching, they're still enjoying. And then the woman with teaching with her hands points to the mudras. So working with the hands in a way that opens people up and helps them digest the ideas being presented. Okay, do you have questions, or did I really cover it all?
Oh, you did a fabulous job, but of course I have questions. So let's start at the beginning. We're at a university. What's going on at the university?
So it's learning about yourself in a really positive way. It's always a spiritual dream when they're at universities, unless you work there or something like that, that would change its meaning. But here it's like, I am learning something about myself that is quite exciting. So we expect to see gifts when we see university. We expect to see what you're working on and then what your place is, like overall, what your mission in life is. And we see all of those things for her in this dream. But because we see a university, we know to look for them.
Excellent. Okay, so we have a man speaking, and then we also have a tall senior woman that passes her. So what's going on? We both have a man and women, actually men and women. A man is speaking German, a woman is speaking French. So what's going on with having both called out in this dream?
So languages are her joy. And like I said, they open new cultures to her. So this is important. This is a new spiritual culture for her. You know, it opens doors. Know the language. You can talk to the locals. You can learn about things. You can read things. You can go off the beaten path. So that's really what it means for her. So very unique to her. The fact that she loves languages too is super, super important. And then you asked about the men and the woman. So it was lovely to see the woman in this scenario, because when you think religions, you think they exclude women. At least I certainly do, because the religions I grew up with, that's the way they are. And she's in the same section of the place as the men. Like, so she's not out on the other side of the rail with everybody else. So she's in there and she's helping explain what's going on by doing the hand movement. So she has got this ability, like I said, to work with spiritual seekers who would be the congregation in this place, the other people that are there. She's able to explain it, step it down from the level that whoever the guys are in the dream and get it through to the people using the mudras. And I don't mean step it down in any negative way. I mean to the physical, not like lower spiritually. So it's all super positive. It's a wonderful dream.
Yeah, so you kind of answered my question, but let's get a little more detail. So the man is on a stage and the lady is just slightly lower to him. They're both on a stage. So what's up with the stage?
So that's the platform. He's preaching from the platform, and the woman is helping preach from the platform. I don't know if preaching is the right word, but she's had other dreams where she has seen these religious men because of the white and the white above him. They represent this connection with God. So we see a woman in the dream helping explain things, like not all the way down at the same level as everybody else in the dream, but a stage in between. So it's like, I am an intermediary that helps people understand themselves spiritually, you know, with God at my back, let's say. And then here I am explaining it to other people and then using the mudras as a way to open people up without them even realizing that that's what she's doing with the mudras, that it's getting past not necessarily their defenses. The way they explained it is our sacral chakra also helps us digest ideas, open up to things. And so she's pretty much working on that chakra with the mudras and helping people digest concepts that they are very excited to learn about, but they're complex to understand. And she's able to relate them more at the physical level for people.
Wow, what a beautiful dream. She's got some amazing gifts. Alrighty, we're ready to move on to the next dream. And this one's from Robert. And the title is Taking Tests for Cancer.
So I wanted to say that we include this because people will probably have dreams like this. And I wanted to include it to explain what it means, because it doesn't mean you have cancer, right? And that's what it would say. You know, dreams don't call it out. They don't necessarily call a spade a spade. They rarely ever would. So dreams that are going to be about physical health issues are going to show damage to physical structures. And we don't see that in this dream. So then why would you have a dream that's just saying it? So let's do the dream.
Yeah, okay. I'm interested to see. I'm in the hospital taking some tests. I have cancer, prostate. There are two women who have been taking care of me. I go to my room going to change. One of the women comes by and we talk. I tell her what is going on, and she looks at me concerned and says, Hennick. I think, what is that? And she says it again. I assume it's a home remedy for cancer and thank her and tell her I'll check it out. All right, Michael. I too don't know what that word means, so
Yeah,
let's
we're
see what
not
you have.
we're not going to understand it after the analysis either. So the point
Darn.
that I wanted to see is somebody dreaming about having cancer. Is it about them having cancer? No, it's not. Now, if you have cancer, it's going to show up in your dreams, but this is not how dreams warn you about it. If you have it and you're having dreams about it, it's not necessarily the dreams about cancer, it's about something else. And the fact that that's part of your life shows up in the dream, it's kind of a background. We see the two women talking to him. So it's about family issues that are bothersome that are connected to his sisters. And this you can get easily from channeling. So you're like, okay, how does it mean that? So who are the people that influence you? These are older sisters, right? So the older sisters influence. Mom is the biggest influence when it comes to women in our lives. It's not about mom. So that's kind of surprising. But he's done a lot of work on himself around mom. So like who's left? So women in dreams can represent up to 7 things, one of them being mom, the other thing being themselves, or women in general, which is more kind of the vein of this. But here it's about his sisters. And they want him to let go of these bothersome family issues. It'll take some effort, but it'll actually be good for his health. So, cancer in this dream is really just representing something that's eating away at him. It's not a physical issue.
Okay, so we have two women. Is there any channeling involved in this, or is that an age? What is the two?
So, he already is a channel. He's a good channel. He's got 2 older sisters that it's about.
So what does a hospital mean?
So, a hospital is about state of mind, healing for your state of mind. And even taking tests, that's a good thing in a dream. Like doing an exam in a dream, doesn't matter whether it's a test like this or doing an exam, it's all good. This is all about you improving. So, how am I going to improve? How am I going to keep going on the path of personal development for myself? And it's like, deal with these issues. The bothersome family issues eat away at you on the inside. And it could lead to something physical. They're saying it won't, but it could. That's the way you want to really look at it, that this is not good for me anyway. So if I can do what I can to get to the point where this stuff just doesn't get me anymore, it's going to be far better for me, not just for my health, but just better for me in general.
Wow, that is a very cool dream. And I like the fact it doesn't say that you have cancer. That is really cool. But interesting they used the symbol of cancer because that's what cancer does is eats away at you.
Yeah, they're using it directly, but that's not how it would show up. In a dream, cancer shows up as crows eating away at things, rust, worms, that sort of thing. Maybe a bear attacking you in a kitchen. Unevolved creatures, sharks, and so on. They can all symbolize cancer. They can symbolize other things too. So you need to understand how to read the rest of the context of the dream to get it. But just saying cancer, I don't think I've ever seen that in a dream, meaning cancer. It's just too obvious. And then, of course, your big question is, well, why isn't it obvious? Why don't they just? But this is how the subconscious works. It turns things into puns, or like it'll break up a sentence. It doesn't understand the logic of a sentence, but it'll understand certain words, and it'll often take puns out of things. So the language is really symbolism and imagery, and that's how our dreams are going to come. And so they're going to show us these negative things in the proper dream language rather than just stating to you, this is what's going on. It's just never going to do that. Now, you might have a dream where you have a dialogue with a guide and the guide tells you something, and that's going to be accurate. But that's not really a dream. What we do there is we have a dream and we work into the dream a conversation or dialogue we've had with our guides before the dream while we are on the astral plane and talking to our guides. And we work that into our dream so that we have the recall. So it's quite different. But we say that all the time. If you can identify your guides in a dream, and they're easy to identify, they have a title, they speak with authority, they're in front of you to the right usually, and they're often raised above you. And very frequently they give gifts. But the title is frequently the big one that gives it away. So if they speak to you, then whatever they say is infallible. And they're the only characters in your dream that are that way.
Very cool. All righty, we have another dream from Robert, so let's move on. Let's see what he's up to in this one. The title is Crossing a Busy Highway. I'm on the side of a busy highway, 4 lanes both ways. It's next to the ocean. I try to cross it, but there's too much traffic. I see that their lights on the right are far off and green. As they turn red, I look to see that the traffic is still busy. There are 2 to 3 others that cross that dangerous road. I think I may go to the stoplights to cross there, even though it's far away. All right, Michael, seems like a simple dream, but I think there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
What do you say?
My favorite dreams are spiritual dreams. And this is one. And we know it is straight away because it's next to the ocean. But also we have traffic lights. So I talked about guides looking at the last dream. They're the authority in your dream. Like whatever they say you have to do. Traffic lights are an authority in your dream. So they're another symbol for guides and direction from the spirit world. So a few different things there that are telling us that this is what he's to do. Listen to the direction he's been given. And we also know it's about career because of traffic. There's lots of reasons traffic represents career, but I think the easiest one to think about it is trucks and vans and semis and so on constitute so much traffic. But then the big rush hours of traffic are people going to and from work. So a lot of traffic symbolizes work, and he's got it in his dream. So it's about his career. It's about his spiritual career. And then he wants to get to the other side. He wants a perspective from the other side. That's basically what it is. So he works with people, helping people heal childhood traumas and so on. And he's very good at that. He's done it for years. But he now wants to get a closer understanding of things from a source perspective. And his guides are saying, you don't need to do this. It won't help you with your clients at all. But they're saying if you do it, and it's a lot of work, if you do it, it can help you understand yourself. But here, they're saying it's not worth the effort. He thinks it's going to help him in his career. They're saying it won't. It's a limitation. That's why we have 4 lanes on both sides. It's also dangerous to cross the road. So a lot of things are saying, think twice about doing this. And if you are going to do it, it's further down the road because you got to go to those traffic lights and do it in a way that your guides tell you. That's what the traffic lights are about. So you go to the lights and they're going to say you can cross now, you know? So that's the spiritual authority saying, now it's okay to do it, but not from where you're at.
Wow, that is very interesting. You covered all my questions. So that's very interesting. You can maybe comment more on the traffic still busy.
So that's where he's at. He's busy. He loves it. He could be retired. He doesn't want to retire. So like that's always good. He doesn't need the money. He just enjoys the work. And this he fits into the category, like I was saying with Shelley, somebody who is at the top of their game, but still a seeker. He definitely is that because we see here, this is what he wants to do. So he can look at things for people and say, this is your issue. Here's what's going on for you in your life. He wants to get to the other side and go, oh, from the spirit world perspective, from a source perspective, here's why they have you in this life doing what you're doing. And that is how they look at it, but they don't want him to look at it that way because it's not going to help his clients. They need to understand it from their perspective. And so please stay on the side of the road you're on because they're not going to understand it over on this side. But he's there, he can, so he's going to learn something. Does that make sense?
It does. So it's information that he is going to get for himself if he chooses to go further down the road and cross when they say it's ready. It's all going to aid him, but he's not to really share it with his clients.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
They won't get it. They won't understand it. They don't need to understand it. I don't mean it negatively. If it was what they did need, then that would be fine, but it's not what they need. They need to understand, how do I deal with the issue that I'm dealing with? Like where it came from, the issue with mom, the issue with dad, whatever it happens to be. And how can I heal that so that the negative experiences I'm having in life all stop? That's not done from a source perspective. Source will say, here's why we put you in that crap. Like we needed to put you in it. That's not going to help anybody if they're not at the place to be able to understand things from that perspective. They would be like, why would you do this to me? Right? So even going there would be traumatic for some people. So they're saying you can go there and we will share it with you, but it's only for you and there's no benefit to your clients. Zero.
Very interesting. I like that. We have one more dream from Robert, and I think this will be very interesting. I like this dream. The title is A Fish Swimming Outside the Tank. I'm with a group of women. My old boss, Tracy, very much in charge and mean if things didn't go her way, and several others are there. There are several large aquariums with fish. A woman and I are observing one tank, and it was very colorful. It had an angelfish, and while watching it, it swam through the glass and floated outside of the tank. The woman grabbed it and put it back in the tank. Okay, Michael, very interesting dream.
Yeah, I love it because it's different, but also what it means. So we have the group of women, so spiritual leader, and spiritual leadership works through feminine energy. So we were talking about Shelley earlier, and you asked, why is it a woman and why are the men? So the group of men and her all represent spiritual leadership, but it really works through feminine energy. So it's better to see a woman doing it in a dream. And so we have the old boss, it's another leader. These are people that try to control other people. There are several large aquariums with fish. That's all very good. He's had aquariums in his dreams before. He had an angelfish. Like, that's really cool. It swam through the glass. So the glass is about an intuitive ability. He has a strong intuition. And then it floated outside the tank. So he has this ability to project his mind too. So another gift in there. And then the bad part, the woman grabbed it and put it back in the tank. Like, the fish didn't need to go back in the tank. It was fine. So he's freer than he thinks. And the dream is saying, don't let other people limit you by containing you, because the tank is a containment. You have a different perspective on life, and don't let people strangle that perspective from you. And so we see that in the rest of the dream. You have to do what Tracy says. I had to work for it. It was terrible. That horrible feeling that you get when you're in an environment that you know is strangling you in life. So this dream is saying, just don't put up with that anymore. And now I know that sounds easy, just don't put up with it. But we choose those things. And we often will find that the person who is the boss in this scenario and strangling everybody, people like Robert will try to be super pleasing to them, achieve so much for them so that they don't get on the bad side of anything when it comes to them.
That is beautiful. I love it. And we have, I think you explained it, but we got several groups. We got group of women, we got a woman and I. And a woman grabbed it and put it back in the tank.
Yeah. So the woman who grabbed it is super negative. So, like, remember, he had the women in his dreams earlier. So it's saying family influences on the female side. So women are able to push buttons on him that men don't. And that's just how it is. That's for him, not for everybody. And once he knows it, it's like, okay, this is a very difficult setup for you to navigate. So we're saying it to you. The people who are trying to control you are limiting you. They do not have your perspective. They can't have your perspective. So don't put up with it. Don't let them put you back in the tank, so to speak.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that dream. Well, Michael, I think that's all we have time for this week. Once again, our channeling class has just started, and we would love to have you join us.
dream-analysis.com/channel. You have until next Sunday to join. Once that Sunday goes past, we can't take anybody new in. The first few weeks are all about clearing blocks and issues from your past and past lives. And a lot of these are kind of funny. Some of the things that block us from channeling are things that we put on ourselves. If you were here in the past and you used your gifts in any way, it was very likely that you were persecuted for using your gifts. You still get persecuted a bit today, but nothing like what it used to be. People would be burned at the stake for trying to help other people with God-given gifts, which is very sad. Anyway, a lot of the start of our class is clearing those issues where you put a block on yourself because you're like, if I ever come to the earth plane again, I vow to never help anybody because it just blows up in my face. So we clear those. And it's beautiful that we do live in the time we live in, where we can have this show on this station and convert it into a podcast. That would not have happened in the past. So we're in a better world.
Yep.
All right. We'd love to see you there. And failing that, we will see you next week.
Have a great week. Thank you, everybody.